Danny Han,
Hey, how are you?
Gentlemen's Fight Club.
Yes.
My brother, it's been a lot of years that we've been meaning to meet up, right?
You know, I was trying to think about when you and I met, and it was before my son was born, and my son's 10. So you and I have known each other for over 10 years, you know what I mean? And, like, I feel sort of just through the energy and air and kind of through the years, I've kind of, like, followed you and, like, seen, you know, legacy grow and seen how everything you've done. And it's, like, it's been an amazing journey watching you, you know, and it's probably been over 10 years.
Yeah, crazy.
You know what I mean? So it's like...
Yeah, because I moved out to L.A., right, from New Mexico.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, pretty much about 2022. So 2000, I moved out 2007, but I didn't know if I wanted to do another school again. So I was just fighting, right?
Okay, yeah.
Because I was like, oh, man, I don't know. It's a lot of work, you know? And so I just fought. I just focused on fighting, MMA and stuff.
Yeah.
For a couple of years. And then I was like, I started just randomly teaching a class at a Muay Thai gym, actually in Pasadena.
Which one?
It's a Cedar Tongue.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Is
it still around?
Walter. He's still around, but they moved like, I'm not sure where Monrovia maybe, or even farther. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I remember stopping by.
Because they kept moving. Yeah. And so Andy's from there, and a bunch of the guys are, you know, all our Muay Thai coaches over the years. And he just asked me randomly to do, because he's a great guy, great coach, corner me for some of my fights and stuff. But he asked me to do a random class like at 10 a.m., you know, on one of the weekdays. And then it turned into 2, then it turned into 3. And I did it for free, you know, for like 6 months, you know, just because I love it. And then there's a tournament coming up. And I was like, hey, guys, you want to do a tournament? And out of the 6 guys, 5 guys got gold, you know?
Oh, wow.
And, it, you know, it's so rewarding.
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
like, I have to do another school, I think.
Yeah.
That's how it got me back, you know?
Yeah.
Here we are, you know?
And it's funny, driving in, I didn't realize that it still says Alberto Crane Mixed Martial Arts.
On the side, yeah.
I was like, that's G that he kept it. I love history.
Yeah.
I love driving by a building and he keep the original painting and stuff like that.
That's art, right? That's art. That's
it's literally history. Because how long you've been in Burbank? How long? You know, like a long time, and you have a strong foothold. You've built a amazing community, you know, and like from the acai place to the tact fit to you just keep like adding building after building. And to me, I think it's super inspiring because it's not just jiu-jitsu. You're kind of offering other things to the community. And I felt like it was time for us to reconnect and actually do a collaboration to celebrate you being here so long and building this community of...
We both follow the heart, right? Both follow our heart. You know, I mean, we were talking last couple of days about, you know, training with Nino all those years, and it's just, you know, like showing up and getting, you know, Nino, people that don't know, Nino Shembree, you know, voted most technical ADCC, like legendary jiu-jitsu. He was like the Mike Tyson in the 90s, you know. He was like the Mike Tyson. Like it wasn't going to be like how you're going to win, you know, he's going to submit you, right? Like brutally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So like legendary.
For me, meeting Nino was like meeting a hero, you know, because when I started jiu-jitsu, it was like 2006. And at that time, YouTube wasn't that like popping like it is now. Like you literally look up anybody and you can find them.
Right.
But at that time, for me, it was like Nino and Ronaldo Jacare Souza. I used to watch those guys before I go train because I was like, ooh, I know nothing, but these guys are just really hyping me up. And like, there was just something about Nino, you know what I mean? Like, there was a personality and just how he rolled and how flexible and technical he was. I just thought to me, I come from skateboarding. So I sort of equate everything to skateboarding. For me, it was like watching this really beautiful skateboarder like do all the tricks perfect. And that's how Nino was to me. And he still is to me.
Yeah, he does like crazy stuff like Gogo Plata, like who the
he invented so much stuff. The rubber guard.
He invented
the rubber guard.
Is the more Platas like I've learned so much just, you know, watching his matches.
Yeah. I mean, and
you're like, no, you can't do that. And then he just did that. You can't do that.
Oh yeah, no, he's you know, him and Pepe are savants. They're great at what they do, and they're actually brilliant at what they do. You know, I trained with Pepe for probably 3 solid years. And he showed me what mental toughness was. You know, like he's as tough as they get. And so is Nino. I mean, I come from kind of an old school, you know, mentality of like, you got to train hard and you got to like be loyal to your coach because the coach is going to be loyal to you in and out of the gym. You know what I mean? Like that's something that it's a bit of a lost art because of the business side of it and all that. And like, you know, gyms get big. So, you know, things change, but I love having that foundation. And I love that Nino put a black belt on me. Like more than anything, that's like one of, besides my son's birth and my marriage to my wife, like till this day, like I choke up thinking about it, you know, because it's like such hard work from so many of us. And like a good friend of mine, Andrew, got it that same day I did. And it's like, it's cool, you know what I mean? And it's something that I still have a really close relationship with Nino, you know what I mean? Like anything he needs, I'm there for him. I'll drop anything to like go help him because he's been in my life over 10 years, just like you. So many people have been in my life in jiu-jitsu for so long that I look back now and it's like, wow. You know, I like the Avi from Ironline Soap. I've known him since he was like 15.
Wow.
You know, he was a little blue belt, didn't want to train, but his dad would bring him and, you know, he would hang out and I got to befriend him and his dad. And it's like, just kind of looking back at like all the years, you know what I mean? It's been 16 years since I've been in jiu-jitsu. And the weird thing is I just kind of fell into it, you know what I mean? Because it was, I come from skateboarding, so my career was a footwear designer. I designed skateboarding shoes. Yeah, so I worked with professional athletes and the cool thing is that I worked with Ryan Sheckler. I met him when he was 14 years old. And he just met my son at Woodward Skate Camp a couple of weeks ago, which was pretty cool. Sort of like a weird full circle. You know, he's probably close in his 30s now, you know, I think. And it's really cool. It's really cool to see how life has turned out, like full circle. And I'm 45 now, you know what I mean? Like there's been a lot of ups and downs. I like to call it the peaks and valleys of life, you know.
You said 16 years, so in your 20s, huh? You started jiu-jitsu.
I was 28.
28, yeah.
Yeah, I was 28 years old, you know what I mean? And basically, I've always lived in LA since I moved out here from Georgia. And I've always worked in Orange County because a lot of action sports brands were in Orange County. So I felt like I needed to be in LA because there was more like stuff to do. I was young, you know, so I didn't want to feel like I moved to California and lived in the suburbs. I wanted to be in a city, you know, I wanted to like really feel it. And so I commuted about 50 miles every day, you know, actually 100 miles every day, you know, each way. And one day I just drove by
Orange County?
Orange County. It was Lake Forest, California.
Yeah, I've done that drive.
Yeah, it was actually the second Gracie Baja headquarters.
Right.
And it was
I drove down for that.
And it was kind of like an abandoned
little warehouse,
industrial, like, you know, area. And I drove by one day. I go, oh, jiu-jitsu. I'm from Brazil. I've heard of jiu-jitsu. So like,
yeah. So like, right. You're like you moved out from Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I did.
To LA.
Yeah.
Via Brazil. You speak fluent Portuguese.
Yes.
You're Korean Brazilian. So Danish, then Brio Dennys, right? Yeah. Dennys.
Yes.
Dennys.
Yes. Yeah, I was born in Brazil. My parents immigrated from Korea. You know, as an Asian kid, you never really.
So they moved from Korea to Brazil.
To Brazil.
Why did they go to Brazil?
You know, back in those days, there's a lot of opportunities for Asians to work other places in South America, especially South America, like Chile, Argentina, Brazil. A lot of Japanese and a lot of Koreans ended up migrating to Brazil. And, you know, I believe it's the third.
Specifically São Paulo, right?
I mean, they're everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Brazilians are everywhere. I mean, Koreans and they're everywhere. You know, and so outside of Tokyo, I believe it's the second largest population of Japanese. Wow. And then third outside of Seoul, I think LA being second, you know. Wow. So there's a lot of Koreans in Brazil, and they all speak Portuguese. So, you know what I mean? You know, so it's like a major, melting pot. You've
Yeah,
been,
yeah.
you know the language, you've
Yeah.
lived there. How long did you live there?
Like, so I lived there about 5 years on and off, like
Yeah.
some years straight, right?
Yeah.
I got a, what do you call it? You're supposed to only stay for 6 months, a fine,
Okay.
like twice, it's every time I'd go in, like, hey, you owe this, and they didn't put it in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, anyway, about 5 years, on and off.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a good amount.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean, to really feel
Yeah,
the
yeah.
culture, understand it. and
From
the
18
language.
years old to 23
Oh wow, yeah, those are
ish,
Yeah, I mean, I bet you that till this day it still carries what you learned from that time.
Yeah,
You
who I
still
am,
yeah.
for sure, who I am.
It's huge,
Yeah.
because like I moved to Los Angeles when I was 19. So from like 19 on.
LA culture for you, right?
Yeah, but it was interesting because I came from Atlanta, like it's a different vibe, but I enjoyed it. People would probably feel, way more shocked that I enjoyed it because I found skateboarding pretty early. I was probably about 12, 13 when I found skateboarding, so I was able to kind of see other kids that sort of look like me, like they dress like me, and they sort of, their vibe was a little bit more my vibe, so I was able to befriend people more, and it was easier because there was always a little skate community. Even though if it wasn't big, there's 3 or 4 kids. That's a start,
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You only need like 2 kids to like have fun,
Yeah.
and then so that's kind of how it started, like and to me, skateboarding was probably one of the most important things in my life because it gave myself a career for designing shoes, so I was able to meet all my heroes. I've been lucky to meet all my heroes. I worked under Keith Huffnagel, who to me still this day, one of the best humans that ever lived, So he passed away a few years ago. I believe it was brain cancer, but I learned a lot from him on how to run business, how to act, how to be around like people and stuff like that. Like he was a really, really inspirational guy to me, A lot of people were, like Nino.
Go back to we talked for like an hour, probably an hour and a half about him the other night.
Yeah, that he's a legend,
Yeah.
like, and I love the fact that, was it Mike Musamichi, gave him props, said that, he watched a lot of his videos too. I think the young kids got to look up Nino Schembri and Pepe Schembri. Both those guys are legendary. I've never seen those guys in a bad position, and I've trained with those guys.
I remember when I was a blue belt, I trained with Nino, and man, he put a side control on me that I'll never forget.
Oh,
his crossface.
Oh yeah, no,
that shoulder, and then
Nino.
You seen that meme with that dummy where the shoulder crushes the
No,
the
Nino,
dummy. That's how it felt.
Yeah, no, Nino's. And the funny thing is, as technical as he is, he preaches basic jiu-jitsu. Basic jiu-jitsu. To him, that's the most effective. And that to me that's the awesomest part of the most technical human being, is that he's saying that basic jiu-jitsu works. And I love that, because
he's doing go-platas and everything else. We're like, no, it's basics.
Yeah, because he's obviously amazing at everything. So.
And like his brother, Pepe, right?
Yeah.
Where he was saying the concept like this, it's like these are the basics, but he's open to, right? To
oh yeah, no,
say.
Those guys they're great because they'll teach you something, but then maybe you cross your feet or something. And I love the concept of, I know it's wrong, but somebody can do it.
Sometimes
That's
it works.
their thing.
Sometimes, yeah.
Because somebody really tall or somebody really short may actually have an advantage to cross their feet. You just never know. It's just a matter of, I love the fact that they preach creativity. And that's what I loved about meeting Nino, is he encouraged creativity. Like the basics, yes, but for your body, for adapting to, grappling it, everyone's body's different. I'm 140 pounds soaking wet on a good day. And, this, a lot of guys are 200 pounds, 6'2".
Yeah.
My back hurts at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciated that, just right, just the creativity, being open to, okay, these are the fundamentals, these are the basics, but hey, you can cross your feet sometimes. You can do this, and you know, don't be limited by what I'm telling you.
Yeah, yeah. If you know, if it, you know, if it's good for you, why not? It may be terrible for me though. There's certain,
But to try different things, play around with different things, see what works, see what doesn't, right?
And I believe that's why, you know, Pepe and Nino trained together young, you know, so they would like try things all the time together. And they sort of had their little laboratory that they would constantly try things. And that, you know, I believe that's how they came up with so many moves and stuff. You know, Nino created a lot of them, but Pepe was there to help him. You know, he was there to help him. And I mean, yeah, those guys, they are true martial artists in my heart, you know? Like, they live and breathe it, like, and that's going back to the old school, like, when we had a gym together, we just try to make sure we all were a community, you know? And that's the most important part, I believe. When you start in a community like that, it just slowly grows. And I believe that's what you've done, because you've been at the same location this entire time, like, and then you've just slowly grown it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a natural progression of life.
Yeah.
You know, it's like your success, it's by building the community and
the people,
you know,
investing.
So, yeah. And that's truly the most important thing running a school, you know, and staying relevant. Like you guys talking about the boy band, like, you know what? You got to do it, because we're old. Like, we're old, right? But here's the thing. You had a super young kid, long hair, polka dot, you know, gi, black belt, teaching. And guess what? It looked super fun. I was like, damn, should have bought my gi. I want to take his class. But I see him on the videos all the time, and it's like, you know what? That's what kids like. You know, that's. I
mean, yeah, it's crazy, right?
And that's the
Millions,
future.
Yeah,
that's
TikTok
the future.
and all the stuff.
Yeah, you know, you got to stay relevant.
Yeah,
you know, and it's good that you're having fun with it, because other people are like, man, this sucks.
You know, I can't lie, right? I've been a hater on like TikTok and all the stuff, but it's like, you know what? They're enjoying it, like. You know, it's with my kids too. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna laugh at it and enjoy it with them. You know, just laugh at the good times. You know,
you gotta be able to relate to your kids too.
Yeah.
You know, like even if it's not your thing, like there's
whatever.
something funny about it. They like it.
Yeah,
so, you know,
I just laugh at them having a good time.
Yeah,
you know? And I have a good time because they're having a good time. And that's it.
And you know, I think I truly started to understand children after I had my kid. You know, because I'm the youngest of three. I'm a only boy and. You know, an Asian family. So you think like the youngest always gets like all the attention, but no, you just kind of, you know, family of three is a lot of damn kids.
Yeah.
You know this, you know, like it's a lot of chaos. So like, you know.
So you have two sisters.
I do have two sisters, older. Yeah, they're 4 and 8 years older.
Okay.
Yeah. They're just basically been, you know, my mothers, you know, like. They're still like my mothers, you know, and they've raised amazing kids. Like my nieces and nephews are awesome, you know, like every time my son goes over there, like he's super happy. And that's the most important thing to me, you know,
nice.
It's that like he's super happy and like I chose to have one child, so I better be damn good at this one child, right? So to me, it's like, you know, obviously I want to spoil him to a certain degree, you know, where he has to work for certain things, and he knows, you know, he's starting to know the value of money and stuff like that, but whatever he wants, he gets.
How old is he?
He's 10.
10, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like, and like every parent, you know, like you try and teach jiu-jitsu, and they hate it, and so I had to go back to the drawing board, and I was like, I think I'm being too hard on him, you know, and I just said, you know what?
It's tough, right? It's tough no matter what, good or bad. Like,
because you want them to do really well, you know. And so I just decided to just do classes and just let them participate and kind of, you know, and after that, I would also like roll and everything and show him that I'm having fun. I think if you lead by example and not have to even tell them, they'll get inspired by like my energy that I, you know, because a lot of times at night I have more energy. You know, you rolled, you taught a class and you have all this energy because you just let out all these endorphins and stuff. So, you know, and he started to come back, and he loves it. He trains harder now. You know, the kids, and his true love is skateboarding. I mean, the kid's gone to the ER more times than I'd like to count. You know, but And that was something too, because my true love is skateboarding, you know, and I still ride around. I feel like I'm more sore skateboarding than rolling with a bunch of people. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, it's you versus ground.
Yeah.
And I just had to send him to the ER. 6 stitches right here on his chin, fractured wrist. 2 weeks later, he's at a skateboarding camp. You know.
What's that, right? I think I've spoken with Mike, BMX world champ guy. How do you, what's your mindset, like getting back on the skateboard after a crazy injury, going to the ER?
I had that conversation with him in the ER, you know, while we were waiting, you know, because I got kind of traumatized when I snapped my wrist. My dad yelled at me, and I was like, "What the fuck? Like, why am I getting yelled at?
Yeah.
Can we just go to the hospital? Maybe yell at me later, you know?" Like, and so to me, I've always nurtured when my son has gotten hurt, because I tell him, if you don't get hurt, you're not trying. You're taking chances, and that's all it is. And I like you taking chances. Unfortunately, you know, you get hurt, but those experiences will make you grow. You know, it has nothing to do with toughness. It's just a matter of experiencing it and understanding it and knowing that his level of skateboarding is getting better and better. I mean, he was doing a pretty technical thing. You know, it just his speed wasn't as fast. He hung up, flew about 4 feet onto his chin and wrist, you know. And so I had to make sure that he knew that this is something that's eventually bound to happen. It's like riding a motorcycle. It's not if, it's when you're going to fall off your motorcycle. And so to me, it's just nurturing when they are at the lowest, when they're weak, you know, when they're hurt, when they're crying. You got to let them cry. You know, got to let them be children. Because to me, that's really the most important thing. To a certain age, they have to be children. You know, because the world is... You know, the world can be hard. You know, the world can be nasty, but can be beautiful.
Yeah.
But they have to go through their childhood pretty innocently, you know, and with nurture. That's important to me, because then I feel you're able to inspire them or able to do or push them without them realizing, and they become great without realizing, without having the pressure in their mind. You know, it's hard. It's so hard.
That's it, right? Like you talk to anybody that's grown up with jiu-jitsu, like any of the Gracie, like all the Gracies that I've talked to, I was like, you know, how was it as a kid? Was there a lot of pressure put on you, this and that? And they're like, no, it was like playing.
Yeah.
And then with the time, right, you're actually learning the things, but it's just playing. You're playing around.
Yeah. I mean, your kids have a playground here.
Yeah.
They can choose to train or they can choose to dork around. But here's the reality. It's always going to be here.
Yeah.
They go to college. I want to go roll. Guess where they're going to come home?
Yeah.
You know, people. I actually had a conversation with a guy the other day. How he was like, "Oh, I got to force my son to do jiu-jitsu." I was like, "Gonna burn him out."
You know, I with my kids, right? It's like just the routine. I believe in the routine, and I talk to them first, and I say, you know, they committed. What's the goal? This and that, and then I just make sure that they follow through.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't put pressure, but I do want them to, you know, you have a routine, you follow through with it. Yeah. You know, and it's been good. It's been good. Yeah. Because otherwise, like, oh, this is happening. This cousin's coming over. Or this is, you know, this person wants to come. They want to play. You know, don't feel like. It's like then you lose your routine. Why don't you just bring the friend or your cousin to the gym?
Yes.
And do it with you know, so you just keep the routine and then no pressure and it's fun and they have all their friends during the pandemic. It was kind of good too because it was all they had.
Yep, that's it.
And then because of that, because they kept coming, you know, they got really good.
That's it, you know, and like you commit and you have fun.
Yeah.
They're having fun together, and that's the whole thing, you know, like I think people forget like kids need to have fun.
Yeah.
You know, because that way it makes actually your job easier. Then you don't have to go and like have play dates and this, that, and the other. Like, you know, I tire all my kids out, and I ask the parents like, do they sleep well at night now? Like better. And all parents said that.
Yes, they do, yeah.
Because I make them roll, you know, like just like the adults. And to me, that's important to get all that energy, that anxiety out, because kids don't know how to express themselves certain ways, and it's really good for us to, you know, get all that out, because and then they just become more well-behaved children.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
so,
it. We need that. We need that, right?
Yeah.
There's so much electronics and
yeah,
just you know, these kinds of things, right?
Mm-hmm. It's just a balance, because like they are still kids of like today, you know, where everything
today,
yeah, you know, and like us, where we had to play with sticks and dirt, you know. That's what it sounds like to these kids. Like when I was your age, like, you know what I mean? We sound old.
Now we're in the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
We're in the Matrix.
Truly a Matrix, you know what I mean? Because like if you watch all the 80s movies, and it's like, oh no, that's happening right now, and it's actually way cooler. You know. But I just, you know, that's just life, and you know,
Yeah.
things just grow and progress, and
Yeah.
we just gotta kind of go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
Go with the
That's it.
flow, because
That's
if
it.
we just fight too much, it's just it's a hard battle, you know, because everybody else is gonna grow, and we're just gonna grow old.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You know, go back to Lake Forest. You went
Yeah.
out to Lake Forest, and then how did you end up with Nino?
So I met Nino through a good friend of mine, Ben Kim. He was training out of Gracie, Baja, but he was the kind of guy that trained a lot of different places, like like anything he did, he was super talented. You know, like anything he touched, he played guitar, he did this, he acted, he did stunt stuff, like whatever you name it. You know, he was amazing at it. He had met Nino because of Shoot the Box. He trained at Shoot the Box very young with Anthony Johnson, and I believe he met Shogun. So they all kind of had a connection. And so once Nino moved to the U.S. and set up shop in Manhattan Beach at the time, yeah, it was just a little bit further in than where he is now. You know, he met him and started training with him. And so to me, I knew I was going to leave my job, because it was getting to that point of like, man, commuting this sucks, you know, and I'm not getting any younger. And I happened to get laid off. At around that time, I was like, oh, this is really burning me out. So it was like a really blessing in disguise for me. You know, it was a really blessing in disguise, because like I started to look for gyms, and I came and visited you in Pasadena. I tried a couple other spots, but I just kept going back to Nino's, because like there was something that I connected with Nino. Like I loved being around him. It was just, he had that like energy, like real chill.
Yeah.
But you know, this dude's a legend. You know, it's so. Yeah, it was just you know, and after I got laid off, I was like, you know what? Nino's halfway. So, you know, unfortunately, I got my purple belt through Carlos, you know, Gracie Jr.
Oh, okay.
And a couple of weeks later, I moved on. But my contract had run out and everything. So I was sort of like trying to figure it out if I was going to stick with Gracie Baja or go to a small gym, you know, because like I'm a little bit more punk rock, skate style. Like I really appreciate like training at Gracie Baja, because they taught me so much, and like I didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu when I started. And so I trained at Gracie Baja headquarters, not realizing all these legends are like coming through. You know, Marcio Feitosa, Fabio Almeida, young Chiron Gracie. Like, you know, Chiron was, I believe, a blue belt when he came out, you know, and just seeing all these guys, and then like, you know, Carlos Gracie Jr. would just be sitting there telling stories.
Yeah.
And looking back, I'm like, man, I was super lucky. Like, super lucky to have all that royalty and not realize, like, what I'm around, because I was brand new to jiu-jitsu. I literally wanted to do it because I lived so far, and I wanted to kind of get home later, you know, so I would train for about an hour, be about 8 o'clock,
traffic,
and then
right?
miss the traffic, and then get home, eat dinner by 10, and start all over again, you know, the next day. I worked a little later. I would get in around 9, 10 o'clock, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, that was a cool time, and that's a special time to be there, you know, because he was just coming to the U.S., and yeah, that was pretty cool. I remember Carlos Gracie Jr. coming up to Pasadena.
Wow.
Because I it was a Legacy. I opened up Legacy in Pasadena, right, back in 2010.
Yeah.
But they wanted me to, because they were turning it into a franchise, and they wanted me to be a part of the franchise, Gracie Ball, because that was their first American black belt. We always represented the Gracie Ball, but the name of the school was Legacy, right? And then there was a gym in like Gracie in Arcadia.
Mm.
So there was you have to be a certain distance apart, like whatever 5 miles, and I was less than that.
Oh.
So basically, they had to approve it. It was a Brazilian guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had to approve it, And so he took us out to lunch. I remember at Whole Foods, and sat us down and told the story about him and his brother Carlson,
Mm-hmm.
and how they shared the same mat, and that he would do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. His brother would do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning, his classes got smaller, and Carlson's got bigger because Carlson would focus on answering the phone. There's one phone, so one phone, one gym, one phone. But he would focus on answering the phone. If they called, he would tell them to come to his classes, right? And Carlos Gracie Jr. focused on, taking care of the people in the class.
Yeah.
So with time, at the beginning, all the people went to Carlson's thing because he answered the phone. He was focusing on that, and Carlos Gracie Jr. focused on doing a good class, right, and taking care of the people. And so then with time, people started to go to Carlos Gracie Jr.'s classes, and they got bigger. Moral of the story, just do a good job, and everything's going to be fine.
That's it.
And so basically, he didn't have it. Okay, yes, master. And they let me do it, and I switched it over right to Gracie Baja.
Yeah.
And then fast forward 10 years exactly, and it's back to legacy, right? Because it's just full circle, right?
Yeah.
So it's been pretty cool to kind of go back, just because the place means a lot to me, and a lot of the, the name, legacy, and all that kind of stemmed it a little bit from that location too.
Wow. It truly is a full circle for you, you know what I mean? Like getting that spot, like it's such an amazing location too, where it is. It's like such an historic part of Pasadena. And
the interesting thing is the guy who built the place, he's like this karate legend.
Oh.
You see all those memes with Chuck Norris, right? Yeah. But he fought Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris? Chuck Norris, yeah. Fought Chuck Norris. Chuck Liddell. I would say Chuck Liddell. He fought Chuck Norris like 3 times and beat him every time. His name is Tony Norris. He's like this Dutch guy, American, and he's done really good, really well in business and finance and stuff. And his office is like literally like a few blocks from here in Burbank.
Oh, wow.
And so they didn't pay the rent, and he was driving by here every day, and he's like, let me see if he's interested in the place, And so he came by and left his name. I remembered his name because I was paying the rent before.
Yeah.
And so I called him up. I was like, hey, what's going on? He's like, oh, they haven't paid the rent. I don't know if you'd be interested in the space, I'm like, what, And I was like, okay, I just thought about it, and my wife didn't want me to do it, and I'm focused. Like I said, I care about. I want to be present. That's I don't want to be spread out or whatever. But that place means so much to me, Like I spent like years of my life there, like late nights, like really, give my heart and soul, put my heart and soul into there, and so then I went and talked to him like a week later. And we talk, every time I talk to him, it goes for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, because of all his stories of his history. He was in karate, Black Belt Magazine. He was like this legend, Yeah, and so we talked for like an hour and a half, and I was like, all right, I got to go back, for sure. Yeah. There's no doubt, Like he built this place. It was only ever a karate, martial arts gym.
Yeah, it'd be weird if it's something else.
And so, and I say, hey, I want to fix the bathrooms this night.
Yeah.
Okay, how much? Okay, let's do it. Like he cares,
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited to have, been able to go back and then have the team give opportunities for the guys to grow too. And just continue the
teaching
good work,
over there?
Yeah. I have my friend Professor Edson, the black 5th degree black belt, my main training partner back in the day, but Professor Dan Spence.
Okay.
Amazing teacher, coach. And then Professor Brian Gregerson.
Oh, okay.
He's like this, he actually had a gym in
Boyle Heights, right? Yeah.
Exactly. He's like this They call him the John Danaher of Legacy. Just he's really smart, you know.
Rad.
Yeah.
Hey.
Likes to talk, likes to explain things. Really,
Yeah.
you know. I'm like very short to the point, you know. And he likes if you let him go, I'll keep going, you know. Like Professor Ryan, the time you let them talk a little less so they can train and get through the class. But he's really smart, you know. He's really good, really technical. Always asks good questions, does it,
Love that.
So really excited to, have him just be there with him and
And I mean, you said you had like
all that.
You said you had about 100 students.
We have 100 students, 100 students.
That's a great start.
Yeah. And it's kind of surreal because a lot of the people that trained there many years ago, they came back on the opening, like a soft opening, our first day of classes,
Yeah.
And we're all just sitting there, we took a picture and just like, man, this is crazy. Like, it was like we pressed the pause button, like when you talk about the Matrix and stuff, and like we're back. It feels like, this is our house,
Yeah. But when you have, especially when you have a gym, because, you're going to get a few knuckleheads that everybody's like, oh,
for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, but when you have a really good gym full of people, and all those memories are good, man. They come back. Those memories come back.
The culture, right? The culture was there. The culture, and you know Aqua Harper.
I don't.
He's like, he's trained there. He actually trained karate there.
Oh wow.
He's one of my black belts, and he got his karate black belt there.
Oh wow. So that place bleeds history for him.
And it's kind of surreal. I was in Armenia, right? And one of our there's a legacy in our Armenia in Yerevan, one of our affiliates. And it's funny is the guy he used to live here, and he had his background in karate, and he actually trained with that guy's teacher in like Montrose. He's like older, he's like in his 90s now, but he has like old pictures from like magazines and book. I guess he was in his book and stuff, and he's like, I know who Tony is, and he's like, and then he showed me like some pictures of him in the book and stuff. Yeah, it's just really cool, Yeah. And he's like, I know exactly who he is, and because they were talking about Tony, like legendary Tony, and, all the fights and stuff that he'd be in, and Anyway, long story.
History, man.
So that place is special. The place is special. I want to put one of his black belt magazines on the wall, have him sign it.
Absolutely.
It's legit. The place is legit.
And I've always.
Chuck Norris, man. Tony, man. Tony.
And there's something about Pasadena too, though. Like how historical that city is. Like I've always like kind of romanticized Pasadena.
Yeah, right. It's on Colorado Boulevard, right? Right off the freeway, Altadena, like.
Yeah, it's like such California history to me, and like you're there.
Yeah.
So.
Route 66, right?
Is it? Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's even better.
Ending,
Yeah, I remember visiting that long time ago. My gosh. Yeah, like I said, it was probably before my kid, because I was trying to find a place close. Because, training with a kid, like I've lost a lot of students. I've got like 4 guys I'm trying to get back, and I'm like, just try an hour, just squeeze an hour in for me. It's tough though, It's a big life change, man, like having kids. Like honestly, young, I didn't think I was going to have kids. So because it's a huge responsibility, so.
I like I want to talk a little bit about the Gentleman's Fight Club, and how it came about. But one of the things I appreciate, like Shoiro, like Bear, and just mixing like skateboard culture and jiu-jitsu, right? It's just like.
Yeah,
that's the vibe, and one of the things that we kind of reconnected on. I just somehow your Instagram, the Gentleman's Fight Club Instagram came up, or Facebook, I don't know, one of the things. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, and the vibe was really cool, And I remember ordering some things just because I didn't even know who it was, Yeah. And I just ordered some things, and then you sent me a bunch of extra things.
Yeah.
Like, oh, right on. Yeah, I must know this guy,
You bought a Nino shirt. I remember.
A Nino shirt. Is that what it was?
Yeah. You bought a Nino shirt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one that I did with the Elvis.
No, but I got some other things too. I got a couple other things.
I think you did, but that was the one I was like, oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I had the Nino thing on it.
Yeah, that was like one of my favorite shirts I did with him.
I still have it.
So I should redo that shirt with him.
I still have it.
Yeah, I love that.
And I'm like, because my wife's always like trying to clean up my closet, have too many stuff, too many shirts and stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep that one.
Yeah, yeah. So
it's like white, so it doesn't like stay white, right? Once you wear it a few times,
no matter how many times you bleach it too, it's not gonna get white again, you know. But yeah, I mean, the whole reason Gentlemen's Fight Club started was because I started jiu-jitsu, you know. And for me, being in design, like, you know, I always look at sort of the creative side of stuff. And so when I started, it was horrendous. I mean, you're talking the worst companies that you could think of were out there, and people were actually producing those things, you know. So I got to get together with a friend of mine who essentially got me into jiu-jitsu. Like, he and I would watch the UFC fights. I believe it was the Couture, like, Liddell era.
Wow.
Yeah, and like my friend introduced me to this guy that used to love MMA and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And he's like, I think you guys would get along. So I went over out to his house and like hung out and instantly became friends, you know. So we started hanging out and stuff. And I told him, you know, oh, actually he was the one. He's like, hey, you should try jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I don't know, you know, like, I'm a skateboarder. I'm not, you know, I don't do martial arts, you know. So I just tried it, you know, because it was a conversation. It kind of got my curiosity, you know. So I started, you know, at around 2006. And yeah, we talked, and, you know, I was like, I think I want to come up with a company, like a clothing brand, like something fun, but timeless. Every design I've done, it's to be timeless classics, you know, because to me, I'd rather see my designs 10 years later than being a fad, because a lot of people will design for what's hot right now, and it's easy. It's easy to make money like that. It's easy for, you know, to get noticed, but in the long run, it could actually hurt your brand. So to me, I grew up on Charles Bronson movies. You remember that guy, you know, with the 80s with the mustache?
Yeah,
and
jacked.
Yeah, you know, but he would always...
my friend Alshani sent me on WhatsApp. He's like, this is my grandfather in LA vibe, you know, back in the day.
Yeah.
He's got a picture of Charles Bronson jacked walking down the street.
Yeah, you know, but he would always play these like weak men on TV, but would like start killing people because he would like go on like a revenge, you know. So I loved watching all his stuff, but just the era, you know, like him or like Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
And I want, you know, McQueen rode like, you know, Indian motorcycles, Harleys, you know, all that stuff. So I kind of got a vibe from just getting some books and kind of like checking it out. And then we just sat one day and just tossed some ideas, and Gentlemen's Fight Club came around. The funny thing is the movie Fight Club has nothing to do with, but that's like the one thing people always come up to me and they're like, can we talk about the Fight Club? Which is like the most annoying thing somebody could ever say to me. You know what I mean? Because like to me, gentlemen's is like what, like really the word is. Fight Club is sort of secondary. You know what I mean? Like, and I've always Fight Club fighting. You know, it's something that you do every day. You fight to get up. Who wants to get up like after a night of sleep? So you got to fight to stand up and get up, go brush your teeth. Like a fight can be, you know, dreading something and then pulling through.
Doing it anyway, right?
Doing it anyway.
That's your black belt right there. Like facing your fears and
just
facing your,
get it done.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't have to actually mean the actual physical, you know, fighting part of it. And it's something that I feel like people have always misunderstood about GFC. You know what I mean? Because to me, it's just about, like, the world can be a fight, but it's how you go about it. You know what I mean? Like, to me,
our biggest opponent is ourselves, right?
That's it. It's our head. It's our mind. We're in our heads all the time. We're having conversations with other people that, you know what I mean? They're just imaginary conversations.
And it's stepping through the nonsense, right?
Yeah.
And, showing up and doing the work.
Yeah. You know, and so to me, GFC was just fun because I wanted to create a couple of designs and stuff like that and kind of give them out to people and naturally it just grew because, you know, some guys were going pro, like I had a guy, Keith Barry, you know, he was like one of the first pro guys that like I started giving t-shirts to, you know, at the time I met him over in Gracie, Baja, and just, you know, ended up being friends with him, and that was awesome, you know, because like it was just fun. He's still around. I still send him stuff. It's been over 10 years, you know. One of my, like, besides Nino, I was a huge fan of Babalu. Babalu, man. And, you know, I've you know, through the years become friends with him, and that's been really cool. Like, I still send him stuff.
Yeah.
He's been
I
a
see him, I
huge...
see wearing your stuff.
Yeah, he's a huge
A bunch
supporter.
of our Muay Thai guys in Muay Thai.
Yeah,
where Gentlemen's Fight Club.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I met Andy when my friend Federico came and did a seminar here.
Right.
You know,
From Italy, huh?
Yeah, from Italy, and I was looking for just different properties. I was trying to see if like I wanted to get out of Highland Park, you know, and my wife was like, "Hey, let's go check out Cago Canyon," you know, and at that time. Andy was living there, and I was looking at the house across the street from him. So this, like, you know, thug-looking Mexican that comes out, like, kind of like mad
staring
dog,
at
and
you.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit, oh damn, he means business. But hey, wait a minute, I know you, and so that was
He was
kind of
looking at your Gentlemen's Fight Club shirt, right?
It was sort of like, yeah, and that the funny part about GFC is like I get photos from people all over the place, you know, like Virginia or someplace out in Oregon. And a friend of mine that has nothing to do with GFC is just a buddy of mine that skates. And he's like, dude, I'm in some random spot. And he sends me a photo, you know. I got a guy in Hawaii sends me photos and stuff. Like, and more likely, I've probably sold that shirt to their person or I know that person. So the cool thing is, it's like, you could probably approach that person and ask.
Yeah.
And have a conversation and actually break the ice and see, like, where they got it from. And, like, they might have met me, you know what I mean? Because... to me, the most important thing about your brand is the person that's behind it. And I've learned that kind of late because, like, normally I wouldn't be doing a podcast. I wouldn't be doing interviews. I wouldn't be doing photo shoots.
You know,
because I'm usually the guy behind the scenes.
Right.
I'm like, hey, I've got this guy. You know, can we do something? Usually I'm that guy, you know, because I'm kind of like the behind the scenes guy, you know, and so... that's, yeah.
I appreciate you sharing a little bit because the other night when you came by, we hung out for like 3 hours. We talked for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
I can talk your ear off. You know what I mean? I can talk your ear off.
Talked about Nino
Yeah.
and this and that.
Yeah, I mean...
from Brazil and, you know, I grown up in Brazil, Atlanta.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, I've had a pretty... I don't know, I guess an interesting life, you know. Looking back, it's just survival to me, you know. It's adapting. Looking back now, I have more of my mom's personality. I always thought I had my dad's personality, you know. I got my dad's grumpiness is what it is. But, like, my mom, she's a survivor. I love my mom to death. She's my hero because, you know, she's always said, hey, look good even on your worst day because people don't need to know you're having a bad day. You know, she's like, always come off good so you can make people feel good and maybe you can, you know, so like
That's
it's sort of like,
That's
it's just, it's all about inspiring others for her, you know what I mean? And she's so strong. She's 70, she's coming up on 80, you know, and lives in Koreatown, lives in like a more hectic area than I do. You know what I mean? Like she takes public transportation, has no problem like getting around LA with no car, you know, and she's just a tough little cookie, you know, she's hard to keep up with. And
awesome.
At 45, I'm realizing I'm hyper like her. That's why I have, you know, my retail store, I have Gentlemen's Fight Club, and then
Where's your retail store?
So the retail store is at the Far East Plaza in Chinatown. And it's in the same plaza as Howlin' Ray. So the crazy thing is, man, we see so many legacy T-shirts. We see so many, you know, I talk to everybody that comes in. So many of your students hang out in that area, you know. And, you know, it's cool because, like, the retail store has made me really understand people. You know, it's made me open up to people a lot more because it's like an airport. You know, Chinatown has a lot of tourists, you know, and so I get to meet all sorts of people. And so I get to kind of, you know, it's learning how to communicate with people, make them feel comfortable in our store. And so the whole focus on our store is sustainably made goods. But basically, we're just trying to be smart about things. You know what I mean? We're just trying to make everything in the U.S., make everything in Los Angeles, because Los Angeles has an incredible amount of small factories that are willing to work with small companies, you know? And because a lot of times they can charge a little more and they don't have to do as much. And I'm very okay with that, because to me, craftsmanship and knowing that the person's going to really take pride in doing what I'm asking them to do. That's important, because I'm a bit of a control freak and things have to be done a certain way. So to me, I'd rather come out with a product that I have to charge a little bit more, just a little bit more, but that's because I wanted to make sure my goods are made well. And you can do it all in the U.S., and you can do it sustainably, because there's so much out there, so many fabric yardage, so much fabric that people use for production, but they don't use the whole, yardage of like fabric and stuff like that. So what we do is we buy all that. And when we create products, they become limited because we only have a certain amount of those. And after that, they're gone. So we create limited goods, and, we work with really, really responsible small factories, a lot of mom and pops. I know the families. I've worked with them 8-9 years at this point. Gentleman's Fight Club is 13 years old. I've met a lot of people through the industry, and so I've been able to connect with a lot of really awesome people in LA, and so we're just trying to be responsible about things. And we're coming out with a product that's just as good as anybody else. My wife is an amazing designer. She worked for a clothing company for about 11 years, and traveled to Asia one too many times and just saw too much of the pollution. Felt like she ended up getting asthma from it, but it was just really bad air quality. It's like when San Francisco had those wildfires, and, San Francisco's had that huge cloud of smoke.
Smoke, yeah.
It's very unhealthy for you, and that's what they are living with,
What places did she go?
She went to southern China, I believe, yeah. Guangzhou, which is a place I go to all the time, So, and China's a beautiful place, like if you go out into the country and things like that, great place, But yeah, there's a lot of pollution. I talked to a guy that's been there a long time, and he said, Walmart's not being produced in China anymore. It's being produced in poorer countries because because China did not want to allow that anymore, because Walmart would go cheaper and cheaper, and they demanded cheaper prices. But that's just not, not possible.
They go to Bangladesh.
Yeah, the countries that are still unregulated, and it's the unfortunate part. So what my wife and I are doing is we're trying, and what we're doing is leading by example is what we're doing. And hopefully we can change some people's perspective of what sustainably made goods are, and for us it's important to be the face and be at our store. So most likely you're going to be buying from me or my wife.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I gotta, like I said, I haven't been there. Go by one of these weekends.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's great restaurants, there's really, really awesome like burger place, and there's a lot of good Filipino food out there too.
I think you told me about the Filipino place last time.
Yeah, and so it's just good vibes over there.
Cool.
So we've been there 7 years. So yeah,
you have Gentlemen's Fight Club things over there as well?
Yeah, so I do everything out of there now, so everything that I do custom, something fun that I have an idea that I might only have like 3 or 4 pieces of, they're at the shop. So, through COVID, it was, everybody was shopping online, and some people's sizes aren't so accurate. So there was a lot of disappointing, customers all over the place. So people coming in the shop and trying things out, I think people are really enjoying that now. And for us to have a brick and mortar store as well as an online shop, it's great, because if you already shopped at our store, most likely what things, feel like and stuff like that.
The sizing.
The sizing and stuff. And, we do carry a lot of vintage that my wife, she's just so talented with. Like, we'll go to a thrift store and she just has an eye. I don't know what it is. She sees things from far and just starts picking through, and and it's amazing. It's amazing
nice.
How
I appreciate that.
Yeah, how talented she is, with that and stuff like that. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You know, my wife, she was a fashion designer for a lot of. She had her line, the Mercedes fashion. She had a couple years doing that. And
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I appreciate just
Yeah.
everything that goes into, just the production and, her being a woman and getting the stuff through the production line and getting stuff into stores and then even the professionals like the big boutiques too, just stiffing you and stiffing the designer, right? When it's a small business.
Being a designer is
all
tough.
Those things, yeah.
It's tough.
People, maybe you, if you're Nordstrom or some company like that, orders makes a bigger order, and you're like a day late or something, and then they send it back to you.
They just straight cancel it. Yeah, it's the unfortunate part of
and they're experienced, right? They've been doing it for so many years, right? That if you don't have that experience going in, right?
Yeah, and
it can go sideways fast.
It can go sideways very fast, especially for a small business that they're banking on that Nordstrom order to get them through the year. And man, there's a lot of ifs when you produce and when you agree to,
Yeah.
And so, and that's for us been really awesome because we produce, we take it to our shop and we sell it.
Just to the people.
Straight to the people. Yeah, and so like we're able to charge a little bit less, so that's been kind of a blessing for us because like I could price it up more, but to me, I like to be fair. I like to make sure that people are getting what they want, but they're not feeling like, oh my gosh, I spent my entire paycheck, I still want it, it's like the happy medium. I'm a middle class guy, you know what I mean?
That's cool. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's to me
you care.
Yeah, I do, and like
you gotta have people feeling good and
and there's times I tell people
on
if
all
you
fronts.
I tell people if it doesn't feel 100%, then don't get it because it's supposed to make you feel good.
Yeah.
And sometimes I discourage people, because it's to me the right thing to do. Like I don't want them to kind of have like that like buyer's remorse. I want them to be like, damn, I'm so stoked on this.
Yeah.
So
you get like Josh Barnett, right? You have been doing these like the collaborations, right, with the different cities.
Yeah.
So how did that get going?
I mean, it's funny. I met Josh at the plaza, and he's not a hard guy to miss. And he had just come out.
Bar master?
Yes. So he had just come out of a restaurant, and I think he was just kind of like walking off his food. And I'm talking to a couple of friends, and I mean, this giant comes across, this Viking comes across, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Josh Barnett. And at that time, we were doing like a 3-year event, something like that. You know what I mean? It was a
3-year
while back. Yeah, it was a while back. And I had this guy that did tin type photos. He would take photos and then develop them on this little like, tin foil thing, like this little tin. It was amazing. And I was like, well, I got to get him in here. So I was like, hey, Josh, I got a tin type guy here. You want to take a photo? And he's like, yeah. Well, I didn't know. Sure. And he had this like leather jacket. He was like fully, like he looked like a Western like cowboy that just walked in, you know what I mean? And so took the photo, hung out, like just chit chatted with him for a bit. And like we started following each other online and stuff and just kind of kept up with each other. And then he's been working with Victor, I don't know, probably since he was like 17. Victor's close, maybe 32, I think. So he's been, he's been with Victor a long time. And Victor needed a clothing sponsor. And, Victor's like a heavy metal guy, long hair from Southgate. And he threw that at me, and I was like, oh, man, he's perfect. I mean, he fits the personality. He's got like skate background. He skates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. So he's like, to me, it was the total package for like somebody to represent GFC. You know what I mean? So I started, we started probably over 3 years ago sponsoring him. He was fighting overseas, just American dudes.
He's fighting in Japan?
He was fighting, I believe, in Japan. I think Ryzen, he was just taking dudes out left and right, just quietly taking care of business. And, I think I sponsored about 3 fights. And then he got to the UFC, and obviously, Venom or whatever Reebok is sponsoring at the time. So can't do much, but he can represent his city, and he is La Mangosta, so we can do some stuff with that. And I can still, give him a little bit of money, and we market him, and we have some fun with it, Like, for me, making money off it, it's great, but I'm also helping him and helping market the brand, helping market everyone, you know. So it's
Yeah, what was the fight that his breakout fight? Where it was just
man, it was a Brazilian guy. He was like a top 15 guy. Nobody
top
wanted
15,
to,
and and nobody wanted to fight him, and he fought him, and like, man, he
Yeah.
dominated him.
Yeah, and the funny part is that,
And he was on the map, and Chad George was there, and
yeah. I mean, those guys at CMMA, I've been, I visited a couple times. That's a tough school, man. Those are some tough dudes there. Like, that's a good, solid school right there. And Chad and Josh Barnett, they both, they run a tight ship over there. I really like it. It's cool, like. It's good vibes over there. It seems cool, and that's.
It's cool to see a guy like that, right? To make his mark or have people, get noticed, right? Or come on the scene, right?
Oh man, and he's such a personality. He's so fun.
Was Joe Rogan there that night?
Yeah, he interviewed him and gave him props online, and he blew up kind of in like my wife's phone. She gets all the notifications. It was blowing up all night. It was amazing. And
people ordered and stuff.
Yeah, people ordering it after his first UFC fight, and it was so cool. It's just because he's able to make some money, and I had to get punched in the face or punching people in the face. So that was
cool.
Awesome. Yeah, and Josh is an extremely smart guy. And Victor's a really awesome human being too. Like they were fun. They're fun to be around. I like that. They're good dudes. We talk about music. We talk about different things besides, MMA and jiu-jitsu and stuff. Like I like to kind of be around people that have different levels and layers, like you have so many different layers. Like I love that. I love that people take the time to be brilliant at certain things, but also learn other things. It's so important, to be able to do that, because that way you get to meet more people. And I mean, LA's a big city. But I tell you, I run into people that I know all the time, and that's like from, baseball parents to like jiu-jitsu parents to this, that, and you're constantly running into people. People from my shop, like I have people from all like different walks, skateboarding, jiu-jitsu, like the clothing world, So it's, and then you get to become a more open-minded person. You're able to understand people better. When you work with different people, and that's important. And I think a lot of people just get comfortable and they just stay within their bubbles, and that's one thing that I really love about my son is that I send him to all these camps, we send him to like skate camps. Yeah, and I mean, he goes by himself. And he has a buddy he goes with now, but at first he was like, no, I want to go because I want to meet new people. And I was like, I love that.
That's
I love that you're not depending on others to meet others. That you're just there and you want to meet other kids. And I love that about that he's got that personality in him, So, because that way life gets a little easier and it's not so awkward in a room,
Try different things, go for it, right?
Yeah.
You have to be scared of, failing or not, right?
You're going to fail 10 out of 10 times, It's that one time that's going to make you like really, but you still got to try it.
Yeah.
And that's where you may get hurt.
Yeah.
You may get hurt. But in that process, you're always injured. I'm always injured. There's always something, right?
Yeah.
It's never going to be like 100%.
You just adjust and adapt and keep going.
Yeah.
Keep moving.
Yeah. How long have we been doing this?
I don't know.
I know my phone's been blowing up.
11:20. Okay. Did you want to ask me something? You said you wanted to.
Well, I did.
We'll go on for like hours, so we'll probably have to cut this.
No, yeah, what was it? No, it's funny because I was driving here. It's just how you run your school and stuff and your philosophy on things and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot of general stuff. Like
just defining the culture, right? And I think that's what really, I think we're really, really great at, is our culture that we have. Like, you come in, you feel like it's your house. You feel like, people tell me that it's the feedback I get. It's like your home and just, like we're like a family, we're like a team. And we're pretty big, right?
Yeah.
Of a school, but yet we still have that small feel in a way.
Yeah.
And that's because of the culture, I think, that we have, ingrained in how we do things.
Oh, yeah. The typical question of like, how do you guys deal with like the geese? Do you like enforce them? Or
You know, like even my days with Gracie Baja, it's like, you know, like that was one part of the thing, right? Is like if somebody, when I was Gracie Baja still, like you're supposed to wear the same uniform. And I believe that it's good, of course, to have like be uniform and all that. But listen, my main thing is for you to train jiu-jitsu and to get the benefits from training jiu-jitsu. And if there's a gi online for $40 or just $60, like get it. I just want you to train.
Just
and
show
get those
up.
benefits, yeah. And so if there's a gi for $200, that's our brand name, whatever. Like, man, like, doesn't matter, right? That's not what's important, right?
Yeah, because you're also helping, you know.
And so that was one of the things with Gracie. So I don't, but you know, when we have like events, like a graduation or something, I have people wear white gi, and but no, I don't. You know, I don't. I don't think that's what it should be about, you know, what it should be about is, you know, doing a good job and caring and helping people become their best, right?
Absolutely.
Best version of themselves.
Yeah. And you know, obviously coming from design, I've always said, hey, design cool shit and they'll buy it.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to enforce it, but man, if you make it look good,
that's it.
You know what I mean? Like they're going to want to wear it. And so that's why to me, for over 10 years, that's all I've worn is GSE. And so I swear by it because I wear it. I have to wear it every day. And so it has to be the shirt that I like. It has to be the jacket, the hoodie, hats. I have to swear by it, you know? So, and that's the most important thing. I think it's living it and like being, just leading by example. I think that's the most important thing is the leading by example, you know? And so that's why I'm always wearing GFC.
Well, thank you. I didn't think your phone's blown up. Like, they're probably asking. I'm sure we can go on for an hour and a half, like we did a couple days ago. You know.
Yeah.
But you're not too far, so let's get together again one of these days. You know, it's great. Thank you for, you know, coming up. I know you don't really usually do these kinds of, you know, do a podcast, but you know, we just had such a good conversation the other day. We talking about Nino, talking about, and there's a lot of stuff we didn't talk about, but you know, appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
I appreciate your, you know, who you are. And I'm very, very proud to represent Gentlemen's Fight Club and have
likewise.
Burbank,
baby, Burbank,
California, right here. Represent,
that's it.
You know.
Yeah, that's it. Legacy Burbank. Yeah, I love it. You know, like you gotta put that stronghold in there and let them know who the boss is in Burbank.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right.